Coming to Grand Rapids, Michigan on September 21st and 22nd is GrandCon Gaming and Comics Convention, presented by Celebration Cinemas. Join us in playing or chatting it up with fellow enthusiasts in a community that understands your passions. Get lost in the adventure of your favorite role-playing game. Admire costumes and art from vendors and attendees. Meet the creators behind your favorite mainstream and independent games and comic books. Check out unpublished games and sneak peek at things to come. You can get all this and more at GrandCon. For more information, please visit www.grand-con.com.
This week on Off the Cuff, we've got at least 3 segments with 3 different questions, so stick around.
Or don't.
Hello and welcome to Off the Cuff. I am your host, as always, Michael Powers. I am joined this week by Art Danner.
Hi.
And by Sean Z. Brown.
Hello.
And we brought Joe Reed back as Joe Reed.
I'm back.
He is alive.
We have a full group.
For the first time in weeks.
I don't know what to do. I really don't know what to, there's so many of us.
Well, now that we're all here, good night. And
see you guys next week.
Stay classy, San Diego.
So what we're going to do, real quick, going to take a poll, maybe do a little bit of what we've been playing, and then we'll do, Danner's got a question that he came up with, Shanzi's got a question, and I've got a question, and those will be the 3 segments, and if Joe comes up with one, that'll be a 4th one.
sure I will.
So, does anyone have anything they want to talk about what they've been playing?
I've been playing a lot of Walking Dead. It was pretty good.
We know you haven't been playing Walking Dead.
Mostly because you're a major pussy.
I would say I'm like a sergeant pussy. I haven't made it to major yet. I'm like,
I don't know. You look more like a private pussy to me.
oh,
Oh, that's great.
like Beetle Bailey, but a pussy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So, let's see. I guess played some PixelJunk Monsters with Danner.
Yeah, we did.
This weekend.
We played the shit out of that game.
Had a real fun time trying to play it on Saturday at work. Could not. Okay, it was so dumb. We got the I was trying to use my phone as a hotspot, so I could play with Danner, and I got the Vita to connect with him, and we were able to play, but the lag was so bad that we backed out, and then all of a sudden my Vita decided to throw another hissy fit and say, it was like, can't connect to a network, can't do any of this stuff. So I was kind of, Danner was being very patient, thankfully.
That does not sound like him at all.
When it comes to playing games with Mike, I'm always patient.
And so I eventually tried to like jury rig it, and I had my phone share its internet connection with my computer, and then I had my computer act as the hotspot. And I actually got the system to connect, and then Danner was like, okay, I'll be there in a couple minutes. I was like, okay. And I should have just left it running, but in order to not waste my data, I turned it all off. Thinking, okay, I can just set up the exact same thing. So when he jumped back online, I went and set everything back up the way that I had it, and I got the same stupid messages: cannot connect to the network, can't do this, can't do that. So I was like, this is just so stupid. So I undid the jury rigging that I had done, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna try this one more time. I'll try and connect it to my phone, and we'll see if it works that way. And it did.
That is a harrowing tale.
There-
When are you going to sell the rights to the movie?
There's no explanation for why it wasn't working, especially when I went online. I mean, online, a quick Google search said that it's not supposed to work. Apparently, the way that the hotspot works is that you can connect to server-based games. So I can play like the Sim Cities, and I can play World of Tanks and stuff like that. But I can't do peer-to-peer gameplay, which is what PixelJunk Monsters wants. And well, apparently you're not supposed to be able to do that, but then eventually it just let me do it. So we played a few hours of that. Good times. And then we played it again on Sunday.
Which was better times.
And I got wasted.
And I got wasted.
See, I miss out on all these fun times.
Well, describe this game. I haven't.
It's a tower defense. It's a tower defense game.
I'm in.
And you play as this
On the
little,
Vita.
Well, it's also on the
I'm
PlayStation.
out.
Well, it's also on the PlayStation 3. Personally, I like the handheld nature of the Vita version, but I like the gameplay or the progression system better in the PlayStation 3 version.
There is just no pleasing you, sir.
But it's a tower defense game, and you play this little tiki guy. That's basically your cursor. That's how you move around, and you're trying to defend these, like, are they babies or something?
It's either that or they're really ugly pygmies.
Well, it's your herd, and there's like 20 of them, so that's like your life. And then you're in this forest, and you go and you highlight the trees, and you turn them into like cannons or arrows or shock towers or gates.
You know, those rare shock tower trees.
And you get to you run around, and you collect your money, and you kill the waves as they come, and when you play cooperatively, you can get your groove on by dancing on the towers together. That's what Danner and I did all Sunday night, was just
Dance with each
bumping
other.
Lots of dancing.
bump and grind on the towers.
Okay, so what does the dancing do anything?
It speeds up the as the towers will level up. There's 3 ways they can level up. One is they'll level up by killing guys, or or you can spend like research gems to level them up really fast, or you can stand on them and your guy goes into this little like drum rain dance kind of thing, and the leveling goes up a little faster. But when you're playing cooperatively, both of you can dance on it, and the bar goes up a lot faster.
Okay, so when you're playing cooperatively, I'm assuming building a tower costs some sort of resource.
It's your money.
Okay. Now, do you both share a pool of money?
No.
Money separate.
So like if you're defending like,
so is it easy? Like, do you do the same maps you would play single player, but just with another person?
Yes.
Like, is it easier to play? The game becomes easier by having someone else with you.
Somewhat.
In 2 ways, I think it does, because one, like someone can watch like the back half of the map, like closer to the base, and someone can watch like the forward area.
Does it throw more guys at you because there's 2 of you?
Think so.
Not a noticeable difference, at least.
No, there are difficulty settings to the game, but I think it just gives the guys more health. So then you need to build more towers. But one of the things I noticed is that when you play single player, and this is one of the knocks I have against it from a single player game, because the PlayStation 3 version doesn't do this. They put towers. You unlock towers in the Vita version by clearing levels. And then you can go back to earlier levels and you have access to those towers. Whereas on the PlayStation 3 version, the towers are just given to you as you have the resources to unlock them.
So you can play level 1
with the best tower if you have enough.
If you have the money.
Yes, and they, when you're playing single player on the Vita, you don't have the ability to do that unless you're playing cooperatively. Then you get access to all the towers as long as you have the money to research them. So it becomes a lot more fun to try out the different towers and stuff like that.
Now, can a PlayStation 3 user play with a Vita user?
Don't know.
You should try that.
You should. But no, it was a lot of fun. What do you think, Danner?
I like it. I mean, I've had a blast with it. I mean, I've even been playing the single player on my own when I've had spare times. So I'm enjoying it. I mean, I've probably played it more than I've played anything on the Vita so far.
It helps that it's kind of bite sized. You sit down and do a level, then you're like, okay, I'm done.
Yep. Or you
Um,
get to the point where it's just like, fuck this, I'm frustrated, and then set it down and then come back to it later. It's very easy to pick up and put down because the levels aren't terribly long. I mean, I think the longest match I've had so far has probably been about 20 minutes.
yeah.
That's pretty long for a one tower defense map, though.
Well, when you get into the medium difficulty ones, they're 20 waves long.
Can you fast forward waves? Can you send multiple? Can you choose to have a second or third wave come at you all at once?
No.
No.
Which is actually kind of funny because when I sat down and I was playing the Vita version, you know how Danner, you know how you can put up little emoticons?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not in the PlayStation version.
Okay.
And so when I hit the button and that wheel popped up, I was like, wait, what is this? What are these things? And I hit the arrow, like the forward arrow.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, for a second, I thought the thing like skipped, like it fast forwarded. And I was like, oh god! And I accidentally clicked it for like 3 more times, and I was like, what is happening? And then I was like, and everything died really quickly. So I thought that I hit the fast forward thing, and then I was like, oh god, I didn't know what they were. Apparently, they want you to communicate with emoticons like a Nintendo system would, because you can set up a room. The way the multiplayer works is you set up a room, and then like 7 other people can join your room. So 8 people can be in a room, and then you pair off. It's like going to a swing party.
It's a keys party.
Yeah.
It's a keys party. Oh, jeez.
So, but anyone can jump in your room, and then they can say, I want to play with you, or you can say you want to play with them.
What if you want to have a little Three's Company action though?
No.
It's only 2 player.
That's unfortunate.
But there's no voice chat built into the game, but you can use the Vita's party chat. But if you're not friends with them, they want you to use these little emoticons to convey. You have a series of 4 random emoticons to convey what you want your partner to do.
So what do you have, like happy face, sad face?
Yeah, happy face.
He's crying.
Yeah, there's like a skull, there's a happy face, a sad face, an arrow saying like, take this gem to there, and then do this. You can string something along together, and Danner and I started doing like happy heart faces to each other.
Of course you did.
And then I kept sending him death faces.
So, but yeah, that left me trashed on Monday. Did not have a headache, but my body was just like dead. It felt like I was just like a pile of rotting flesh all day.
Your body.
You mean like The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your body was kind of like, what did you do to me last night?
I'm sorry, body, but PixelJunk Monsters got the better of me.
I think I would have been happy-go-lucky with the 3 beers, but as soon as I started doing like the mixed drinks, that's when stuff got stupid.
And the fact that Allie was talking on your side, and then Janelle was talking on my side, both through the Vita, and we were all talking together, and then should she make me a mixed drink? Yeah, do it. And then peer pressure is a bitch.
Yep. Internet peer pressure is a bitch.
So your wives were basically enabling you to get trashed.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I also
most people play beer pong like a normal person, but not you guys. You guys have
PixelJunk Monsters
drinking
games to a whole new art form.
And then I picked up Dragon's Crown yesterday. I'm seriously considering buying it again on the PlayStation 3. That way Danner can steal a copy and we can play together. Because I have like 3 other there's 3 other AI companions in the game that you can go adventuring with, but it'd be a lot more fun if I was playing with somebody that I actually knew. For anyone that doesn't know, Dragon's Crown is the new game by Vanillaware. It was released by Atlas this week, and it stirred up a whole slew of controversy recently.
What system was this on again?
It's PS3 and Vita.
Okay.
It stirred up a whole slew of controversy over its character designs. It's like fantasy style artwork, but the men are like all like they're big burly men with really tiny legs, and then the women are all like way over proportioned.
Big old boobies.
Yeah, the sorceress chick who I'm playing as, like when you walk around with her boobs, you go like nothing I've ever seen. I mean, the Team Ninja stuff has nothing on this game.
Dead or Alive beach volleyball, nothing.
But the combat in the game, art style aside, the combat is actually really fun. It's a 2D side-scrolling hand-drawn beat 'em up. And you can play with up to 4 players. It's, a Vita user can play with a PlayStation user, and a PlayStation user, you can do any combination of the 4. There's like 6 classes. There's an elf, an Amazon, the sorceress. There's a sorcerer. There's a dwarf and a knight. That might be 5. I don't know. I can't count right now. But it's a lot of fun. You go through the levels, and some of the levels are shorter than others. But when you get to the end, it reminds me a lot of that Life is Magic game.
You mean the one that you got me to play and then you stopped playing shortly after? You mean like Hero Academy that you got me to play and then you stopped playing shortly after?
That's how I roll.
Yeah, I know. It is annoying. Because I'll get into it.
He gets people hooked on things and then he leaves them there.
Then he leaves. He's like, "You have fun with this. I'm gonna go do something else."
I'm gonna go find the next thing to get you hooked on.
Crack.
But it's like that. You go into a dungeon and you go through a series of rooms and you get to the end, and there's a boss fight at the end of it, and once you clear the boss, you are automatically teleported out of the dungeon all the way back to the starting point, and you're told like what type of loot you found, how much experience you got, how much money you got, and then you start over from the same starting point like every time.
So you're just continuously going through a dungeon?
Yes.
And does the artwork of the dungeon itself change?
Oh yeah, I mean there's different dungeons. I think I've been to like 3 or 4 different dungeons, but they all work the same way. It's like you go into a dungeon, you fight your way to the end of it, you defeat the boss, and then you get teleported back to your home base. And you can go back in and out of the dungeons as many times as you want. So you can go back in when you're overpowered and whoop on some guys.
You know what? I've seen you play a lot of games. I've never once seen you in a game where I'd consider you overpowered.
It's probably because those games aren't multiplayer games.
Mm-hmm.
That's. But like I said, I'm seriously considering picking it up on the PlayStation 3 as well, because sometimes it's like it looks really good on the Vita, but sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could see this on the big screen. Kind of bummed there isn't a cross-buy option for the game, but
it's kind of lame that there wasn't.
But it's only $30 more than like it's the Vita version was $40 and the PlayStation version is $50. So it only makes it $30 more than a regular game.
See, I still don't understand that about those cross ones between the Vita. If it's essentially the same game, why is the pricing difference?
The cross-buy stuff tends to be stuff that Sony has helped with, like either pushed to the system or it's like a first-party product.
Yeah.
But so then they just they bundle them together, so you buy one, you get both, and that's something Sony's trying to push.
Yeah.
But some developers don't want to get in on that. So.
Well, I bet when Sony does that, do they count that as a sale for the PlayStation 3 and the Vita?
No one knows.
I would guess
Sony
yes.
operates, I would say yes.
I would say yes. Like, oh, that's 2 games sold instead of just 1.
So. But the companies have to choose to opt into that, and this time Atlas did not choose to opt in on that, so it's $90 for 2 of them.
Oh, shush you.
Sons of bitches.
Danner, what have you been playing?
Well, I beat a game this week.
No
way,
I totally forgot about that. Round of applause for Danner.
I beat Deadpool.
Woo!
That's the name for his penis.
Repeatedly beat Deadpool.
To a pulp, in fact.
To a pulp and back?
In fact, not and back.
And back was better.
Yay, lost in translation. But yeah, no, I beat Deadpool, which was fun. Very, very fun game. I played some Hitman Absolution, which is now free on PlayStation Plus if you got it. Great game, fun to play.
That was the newest one, right?
Yeah.
I don't like for some reason with Hitman, the whatever the titles of them are, I can never keep track which one's which, except for Blood Money. It's the only one I remember what it is.
Nice story.
I'm sorry it wasn't as riveting as the whole. Well, my phone was a hot spot, and then it was up to my computer, which was acting as the hot spot. Sorry, I can't keep...
Carl, get back in the house.
Damn, I was going there. You beat me to it. I played a lot of PixelJunk Monsters with Mike, and then I played some Stealth Inc. this week as well, which was fun. I've been enjoying that game. And
that was the one you were telling us about last time?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what Mike was telling us about last time.
Or whoever.
That was me, the Super Meat Boy clone.
Because I gotten as far as, buying the game. I hadn't actually had a chance to play it at that point in time. I played it on the PS3 and I've played it on the Vita now. So I gotta say, I think I prefer the Vita version over the PS3 version so far. But that might change because it seems to change with most of the games that I've been playing lately. I enjoy them at first on the Vita, and then I can't beat them on the Vita, and then I got to switch over to the PS3 in order to play because the controls get so convoluted. But besides that, that's all. I haven't really played that much this week. I've only really played like PixelJunk Monsters, and last night where I beat Deadpool and played some Hitman Absolution. So. Hopefully by next week I'll have beaten another game.
Good deal.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, I will keep my fingers crossed for you.
Maybe I'll start Lollipop Chainsaw this week.
I think you'll have fun with that. If you have fun with Deadpool, I think you'll have fun with Lollipop Chainsaw.
Excellent.
Joe, I know you went on vacation. Do you want to tell us about that?
Well, yeah. One of my favorite things to do on vacation, wherever I'm headed, I'll type in both comic book stores, name of the city, and video game stores, name of the city. And I always subtract the Game Stops and the play-in trade. But I found a place in Cleveland. We stopped there on the way, and ridiculous, awesome selection of retro and vintage stuff. And I've been hankering for something to play and not wanting to play a lot of things, especially new things. I don't know. I'm just in a funk right now with video games. But I did pick up Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass for the DS just to have something to play on vacation. And I've fallen in love with that and gotten over the fact that it's touchscreen stylus control. I've begun to ignore that and just play the game, and I'm enjoying that. And that's actually what I'm playing now, and nothing else. Still looking for the next thing, but at least this is filling that hole that I was feeling the last time we recorded. I'm actually playing something that feels good.
The game's really good, despite the fact that that's the one that's got the Wind Waker style.
Yeah, I think all the 3D Zeldas that have come out on DS have a Wind Waker. Because what's that? Spirit Tracks is the other one that I'll probably pick that up eventually.
Yeah, which put me off about that game when I first got it. But I remember playing it and being like, man, this is just a lot of fun. It was a really, really good game.
And that's the cool thing about this DS version is that, it's got the Wind Waker thing, and the little Link on the screen is 3D, but it really plays like the old school 2D things. It just happens to be a 3D character, and so it really feels like Link to the Past and has that same energy. And I can feel that it's not as elegantly designed as like a console Zelda or like Link to the Past, but it's still a heck of a lot of fun, and I'm tearing through it. So by next week, I'll have that beat.
Good deal. Yay for finishing games. Woo!
Woo!
What was that?
Trying to think of the last game. Last of Us. That was the last game I finished.
And before that, it was
Infinite.
What?
BioShock Infinite.
Oh,
Well, that's what I'm
Infinite,
hitting next. I'm hitting BioShock because I haven't played. I've watched Art play about 2 hours of part 1, and I can't do scary games, but I think I'm gonna grow a pair of balls and.
Infinite is not. I can't do scary games either, Joe. Infinite is not scary.
He's
but
not. He's not starting with Infinite. He's starting with BioShock.
Oh,
Can I
you're gonna
play-
shit your pants.
Can I play Infinite without? I mean,
Yes.
can I play them
Yes.
out of order? And
You can't. Yeah, you can.
Infinite has nothing to do, except you're in the same world.
It has everything to do
Yeah, and
nothing to do all at once.
Yes, infinite possibilities.
Did you watch Art play 2 hours from the beginning of BioShock?
yes,
Okay, you're fine.
Then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
If you've seen the opening of BioShock and that you remember that, you'll be fine. If not, I mean, I can always bring it over tomorrow, and we can always play through the first hour.
I wish I lived closer.
Sucks
You wish
for
you lived
you.
close, like forever away.
I could drive over.
It's a
But
9
I'm
and
not
a half
going to
hour
invite
drive.
myself. So, Seanzi, have you been playing anything?
Nothing new since last week, really. I've been playing more Red Dead Redemption just because that's a good screw around game.
oh, that's a brilliant game.
One of these days, I'm gonna play it. I bought the Game of the Year edition. I haven't.
God, you haven't
yet.
played that yet? Oh, it's so
I've-
good.
I borrowed it, I think, from Joe, and I got like 2 hours into it, but that was about it.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
Allie
so
has it.
good. The zombie stuff is really cool.
Oh, the Walking Dead stuff?
You're so funny.
Why are we making fun of him for Walking Dead?
You had to listen to last week's episode.
Okay, because I compared State of Decay, made me feel like Walking Dead, the TV show, and then they ripped into me with a bunch of Carl and Shane references for like 20 minutes. But the zombie stuff in that though reminds me of that one Tremors where they're back in the Wild West. I don't know
Tremors
why.
4.
Tremors 4. Yeah, I don't know why, but that reminds me of that like kind of absurd. What the is going on?
I think it's called Tremors 4: The Beginning.
There should be more genre mashups, really.
What, cowboys and zombies kind of thing?
Yeah.
I
Cowboys
thought
and
that-
aliens? Oh, wait a second.
That didn't work.
No, it didn't. Never mind. Genre mashups are terrible.
Really? Because James Bond kicks so much ass in that movie.
I stopped watching that movie halfway through it. I was so disappointed because the opening credits, they list all the people that like had some kind of help or input in that movie.
So many people.
And I'm like, there's no way this could possibly be as bad as people say it is. And then I got like halfway through it and I was like, it's every bit as bad as people say it is. How does this happen?
I kind of wanted like the end of that movie to be it like zooms out and the ship is actually the Millennium Falcon and then Harrison Ford gets it and flies away. Then that would have been a good movie.
Unlikely.
All right. We're going to take a break here and we're going to come back on the other side and we will have our first question. So,
About balls.
Yeah, are they supposed to be this engorged or what's the deal with that?
okay.
The Pull Bag is the GCRN's place for everything you need in the comic book world. We focus on new and current comics, while also tackling a few back issues here and there. So join the entire GCRN crew and see what issues the hosts have with today's panels. You can find the Pull Bag on iTunes and geekcastradio.com. Make your great escape into comics.
All right, and we're back. Hopefully you're still listening to this train wreck of a show. First up,
This
we
one's
have...
a train wreck? How can you tell? Can you tell the difference?
Wait a second. Are we playing Uncharted 2? Something about a train. That's all I heard. What are we doing now?
All right. In this segment,
Good reference.
we have
I try.
for this segment, Danner has a question for us to answer. Danner, why don't you go ahead and share what your question is?
My question is, since people who've listened to this show obviously know that, most of you guys are total wusses when it comes to gaming. Mostly, when was your first or most intense scary moment for gaming? What's that shot you out of your seats or, oh my god, I can't play this game anymore type of moment?
So when did the atmosphere of a game overwhelm you?
Yes.
Um,
Fine, I guess if we want to go highbrow. When did you have a gaming
What?
experience where the atmosphere totally ruined the game for you and you were done? Yeah.
When I was sipping on my Chardonnay and I ran out of grape upon it, oh my wonder!
Okay. Johnsy, you want to go first?
Sure. Probably my first one that I can easily remember was, especially in the current whatever gaming stuff, would be Dead Space, just because it's so creepy all the time. It's never not creepy. That was one of the very first games that I can remember where I played it for not long at all, and then was like, nope, I'm done with this. I don't want anything to do with this game. I don't want to even look at it. Take it away from me. I don't even want to hear the music.
Okay,
Nothing.
so my question then is, and I still have yet to go, so I'm not trying to harp on you here, but that's like, that game is 5 years old, so there was never a time like before that? Like, this isn't your first generation of consoles, is it?
No, definitely not. But normally I would never. I mean, before this, games I'd play like wrestling games, and I'd play like first-person shooters, and first-person shooters don't really scare me too much. Like, there was no moment in any Call of Duty that ever shocked and scared me to the point of, like, I have to stop. I'm done for today. You know, that was probably the first time I ever tried a game that would be in the genre of horror. I mean, of course, there's parts in games that will always scare you like a little bit, but not. You know, like an explosion goes off in Call of Duty. Sometimes you're not expecting. You're like, ah, but nothing that ever actually scared me and caused me to stop playing the game.
Okay.
I mean, there was that one time when Shredder hit me with the beam and my turtle turned back into a normal turtle, and I was freaking the hell out.
Mommy, this game's broken.
It's bullshit.
Joe, do you have a moment?
I do. This is one of my very favorite stories to tell in all of the video game world. Back in high school, I used to work at Toys R Us, and I always snuck my way into what was then the very new R Zone and talk about games and
I thought he was going to
sell
say
them.
the ladies' room.
Yeah, yeah, that was scary.
Yeah, vagina's scary. Ah.
This toilet is small. I can't believe I fit in here.
Why is there a couch?
So I'm working at Toys R Us, and I talking to somebody who has a PlayStation. This time I'm very anti-Sony, but I'm talking to one of my coworkers, and he lets me borrow his PS1 and Resident Evil 2. And so I'm at home. I'm playing it. It's getting late. I don't know. I'm after midnight. I've had a 2-liter of Mountain Dew at least. And I'm about halfway through the game, and I'm running up and down this hallway that I've cleaned out 100 times before. And yeah, it's scary, and ooh, my goodness, it's spooky and creepy, and there are lots of popping scares. But, you know, I'm going up and down this hallway that I've cleared out, and it's been cleared out for more than an hour. And I walk in, the loading screen goes, and something's different this time. There's no music. There's always music in this hallway. And it's like something's weird. And so I'm not holding the run button. I'm just creeping along. Okay, nothing's happening. I start to run, and, you know, the tank controls in the game kind of goof you up. I just happen to wander too close to the windows of this police station. Crash! These arms reach in. They grab my character. The DualShock 2 begins to vibrate in my hand. I throw the controller at the television. Like a little girl, and slam the button off without saving for however long I had been there. Scared the snot out of me. And that was a very physical, visceral reaction to something that a video game did.
And you were breathing heavy for the next 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I gotta calm down.
It's like
man, I have a heart
midnight,
attack.
no lights on. The only light was the television, and so I slammed that off when it... But that's my biggest video game scare, I think, of all time, and everything since then has been has paled in comparison to that horror of that surprise. And I mean, you know, the vibration at that point was still something very new. It was in my living room when I played that, and so that was my biggest jump and scare. I guess I have a half a story from years before that, but I think the ambiance that the music of Super Metroid created unnerved me, creeped me out in some of those levels. I think that game captured the sense of isolation. You're the only thing here, and you have only you to rely on. Just the music put that in my tummy as I'm playing this game, and I just remember being kind of physically upset during parts of those games because of what it was doing to my head. Scary, but in a different way from zombie arms reaching in, snatching your character, and making your controller vibrate in your hand.
I think one's more like an atmospheric, like I don't like this vibe that the game's giving me, and the other one is like
this game's giving me the heebie-jeebies.
And then the other one
versus this game has made me just shit my pants.
Yeah. I've got two that I can think of. My first one, my first actual experience, Joe, similar to yours, involves Resident Evil 2. I was up north at my parents' house. My cousin and I were playing it in the middle of winter, like 2 a.m. during a snowstorm. The house is kind of creaking and all this stuff, and
the winds are blowing.
Yeah, and I'm in the police station. I thought he was going to tell the exact same story, but he said he was farther in the game. But I was in the police station, walking up and down that hall. Only instead of a zombie coming crashing through the thing, it was a dog. And I was just like, oh, jeez. And my cousin and we were just both done with it at that point.
Those things were scary enough by themselves.
Yeah, I think we both went and played Armored Core instead, because we were done. And that was like the first time I'd ever played a game like that. The other time, and I knew, so I stayed away from games like that. Stayed away from Resident Evil 3 and the other ones, and the Silent Hill games. I stayed away from those, except for Silent Hill 2. I had, the PlayStation 2 had just come out. I was reading anything and everything I could about it, and I was willing to try games that I had never played before, or to retry games that I had played that maybe didn't click with me, like Gran Turismo and some things. And I remember reading article after article about how amazing Silent Hill 2 was, and how the development was cursed and all this other stuff. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. So I went and bought it, and I got home, and I sat down, and I got everything fired up, and I got the surround sound going, and I just start playing, and I don't know who here has played Silent Hill 2.
Me.
Silent Hill 1, not 2.
Okay. Well, in the beginning of the game, you start off at like a rest stop area, and then you have to make your way down a path into Silent Hill. And it took me like an hour and a half to get into Silent Hill. Just walking down this path, because you can't see more than like 3 feet in front of your character. The sound direction is like, sounds are bouncing all over the place. I don't know where anything's coming from. I can hear this faint knocking in the background, and I'm just kind of like, oh, I don't know what it is. It ended up being like a bucket in a well in the middle of a cemetery that you end up walking through. And at some point in my head, it dawned on me, like it might actually be the first example where I became kind of aware of like game design, because I was kind of like, wait a minute, I have no way of defending myself, so there can't be anything that can attack me. So from that point on, I was kind of like, all right, I'll be a little more assertive here. But unfortunately, 5 minutes after I had that epiphany, I picked up a piece of wood with a nail in the end of it. And I immediately turned around, and there was something there, and I ended up dying. And I was like, oh my God. And so I knew exactly what was happening. So I started all the way back over at the rest area, and I ran all the way back to where I was, and it took me like 5 minutes. So like what took me an hour and a half, because I was so creeped out by the atmosphere, actually only takes 5 minutes of gameplay if you have the balls to do it. But I think the Silent Hill series has been like, and I never played one again. I never finished Silent Hill 2. I played a little bit longer. I saw some more creepy stuff, but then eventually I just gave it to my friend because he really likes those games. Um, so after that, I just kind of stay away from that stuff. And I don't think I really tried anything again until like BioShock came out, and I don't like. I kind of struggle with when I say like something freaks me out to the point that I can't play it. I think it's like I just don't care for the atmosphere. Like they do such a good job conveying this sense of dread in the atmosphere, and I just don't want to stay in that. I think it's more that than it is that I'm actually like afraid, because I can watch horror movies. I love watching horror movies. But I'm aware, like, in games like Uncharted and stuff like that, it's like, I walk forward and I hit that trigger point and then I start walking backwards and shoot everything that runs at me. Like, I know how to get through them. It's just I don't like being in that space that long. So I think that's more it for me. Tanner, have you ever actually been scared by a video game?
I've had moments that have like scared me or completely creeped me out. There's 3 moments in particular that I can think of, but like nothing to the point that I've stopped playing a game. I mean, the only thing for me that's really caused me to stop playing and not want to go back to something is just terrible, fucking horrific game design. Like Clive Barker's Jericho, for example, because that game was just fucking terrible. Or Legendary, another game, just absolutely terrible.
Never played either of them. Thank you.
Oh, they're bleh.
That
Silent,
good, huh?
Silent Hill 2 is probably the first one that I can think of that really creeped me out. I think it was really my first experience with a horror genre style game. And I think the thing that creeped me out the most, I think, was the radio static. Did you get to the point in the game where they give you the radio?
Oh yeah, I mean, I got through it's not very far, but I remember getting through like the first apartment complex where you get the flashlight. Like I think I had all the accessories.
Flashlight my ass. The pendant, you mean? The glowing pendant?
It ended up being a flashlight.
Oh, I think you started with the glowing pendant, didn't you? And then you got the flashlight?
I don't remember having a glowing pendant. I remember going into the apartment complex and you open up that one.
Wait, no, the flashlight, doesn't the flashlight like mount in your pocket or something like that?
Yeah, but I remember like that part of the game is one of the things that actually creeped me out, because I remember you go into the apartment complex and you open the door and it has the static camera angles like every survival horror game does, and the camera goes back behind this like mannequin and the light is shining at your character as he enters the room, and you're kind of like and that it's the mannequins that like move and they like, it's like I'm like, do I go and grab that light? Like I remember dancing around the room trying to get that thing to trigger to come after me.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off. And I ran up to it and I grabbed the flashlight and the thing never moved. I was like, oh my god.
And then you walk into the hallway.
Yeah, and then everything's in the hallway waiting for me. So it's.
I was gonna say, I think the thing that made me jump about that game was the radio static started playing and I was outside. And I was like, there's nothing around. What the hell's going on? And then it reached out from underneath the car.
Oh.
That part, I was like, oh, God. Just one arm just swipes out and grabs at you, and then it crawls out from underneath the car. And I was just like, gah. That was unnerving to me.
Pallet board to the head. Pallet board to the head.
Yeah. So I was going to say that Silent Hill 2 was really my first introduction to those type of games. But there's a few key games that there was that immense sense of dread. And then there's one game that gave me an immense sense of dread, and then the other 2 games gave me like I jumped out of my seat type of moments. One is Prey.
Never played it.
The moment you walk into the room with the school bus and you just know that it's not going to go well. You're Prey, if nobody's played it, it's You could probably pick it up for less than $10 at a GameStop at this point in time.
Incredibly.
Awesome game. Incredibly underrated game and very awesome game. But he plays a Native American, and everybody in the bar that you're working at gets sucked up into an alien spacecraft, and they're basically getting processed into to be carved up and fed to aliens for the most part. They're just dismantling and dissecting everybody, and you get free. And it messes with gravities and portals, and it was probably one of the first games to really mess with, sense of gravity and portal, which became very popular after that game came out. But there's a scene that's in there where you walk into a room and there's a school bus, and then you just hear children's voices, and then these protoplasmic ghosts show up that are children and just start attacking you, and it's just very, very unnerving. Really, really cool game, but very, very creepy. That immense sense of dread. This is one of the few games that have kind of given me that. You just walk into the room and it's like, oh god, this is not going to go well. And then two games that have made me jump straight out of my seat would be Condemned, Criminal Origins. Another really, really awesome game if you haven't played it, but there's a scene with mannequins inside of an abandoned department store where the lights go out and then all the mannequins move when the lights come back, and then the lights go out again, and then you're completely surrounded by the mannequins and can't move, and then the lights go out again and the mannequins are gone, and there's one mannequin in the room, and the game just screws with you. It's awesome, but the first time the mannequin thing happened, I was like, oh my god, what's going on?
What? No.
Yeah.
No. Don't like
no.
where this is going.
No.
No.
Is Condemned the game where if you wear the headset, they actually respond to you?
No, that
Manhunt
is
did that.
Manhunt.
Yeah, okay. And real quick, Joe, you're getting quieter and quieter.
Okay, I'll move my mic.
Anyways.
And then BioShock. Two times in that game did I jump straight out of my seat. The dentist office.
Was the dentist office where you got the shotgun?
No, you had to do a certain number of things in order to get into the dentist office. It was one of those things that if you didn't seek your way into there, you could walk right past it and not even do it.
Yeah, I think it was one of those things that's for people that click on everything.
Yeah.
And explore every little nook and cranny, because it was like, it really is a one, it's a
so
no outlet room.
Explain to me about this dentist office. What's so shocking about it?
You have to basically crawl into this room, and the room is completely empty, and you get in the dentist office and it's just empty. There's a bunch of stuff to collect, and there's a dentist chair and a mirror, and you walk directly up to the mirror, and the moment you turn around, there's a guy standing right there in your face.
So when you look in the mirror, is there a guy behind you?
Nope.
No, basically you go into a room and you loot the whole thing, and when you turn around and go out, there's a guy standing right in front of you. It's kind of like what happened in BioShock Infinite towards the end.
With the Boy of Silence.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. And it was really creepy because that same thing got me with BioShock, and I did keep playing after that for a while. But I was playing that with Jason, and we were sitting there, and it was like dusk. I mean, so it was still light outside, and I was in my apartment, so the place was like flooded with sunlight. And we're sitting there, and we're playing the game, and I go into the dentist office, and I'm looting around. And all of a sudden, we hear this, because I got the surround sound going. We hear this, and I'm like, oh shit! So I turn right around, and there's the guy right in my face. So, and I just let him have it. With whatever I had equipped at the time. I was like, you just go away.
And to me, that part made me jump a little bit. The worst part was The maze.
I don't think I got to the maze.
In the maze is the first time the Houdini splicers show up. And you get to a dead end in the maze and there's something to loot. And then, same scenario, you turn around. But it went a little bit differently because you turn around and he's staring you directly in the eyes and he goes, just screams, "What are you doing here?" And then poof, explodes and disappears. And you know he's around somewhere, but you don't know where the hell he went. And it's like all the hairs just stand up on the back of your neck, and you're
It's like, all right, now I gotta back myself into a corner and just wait for him.
And it's one of those things you like, the moment I walk out of here, this guy's gonna be waiting for me. And sure enough, he was, along with multiple other Houdini splicers. But that part, that was that I jumped out of my seat and I dropped my controller. And I wasn't playing by myself. Tim Beeler was over with me, and he also jumped out of his seat when that happened as well. It caught us both completely off guard. So,
you and I had a moment with BioShock where there was I don't know, I want to call it a wicker mask, but I think it was more like a scarecrow face sitting on a table down at the end of a long hallway. And
that was you. I thought it was Beeler. It was you.
Yeah, I have no idea what those were, but that freaked the snot out of me.
No, that was a Houdini splicer. Yep.
That was when I was convinced that I didn't want to play the game.
Now see, like the dentist office stuff, that stuff did not make me want to stop playing the game. It was just the sense of dread that was there. I was like, I don't want to feel this awful for this long.
Oh, to me that place was just so gorgeous. All I wanted to do was explore.
Oh, I agree. I don't knock the game for being like, I'm not holding that against the game. They crafted a very good, it was a very good world. It's just I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So, because like I said, I can watch any horror movie you put in front of me. I'll watch it. It's just, there's just something that sense of, it's probably because like a horror movie is over within like 90 minutes to 2 hours, and like a video game can go on for like 12, 15, 20 hours, and it's like, I don't want to be in this for this long.
I think I'm trying to think about like other things that really creep me out, and I was going to say the only other game that's ever, I don't know if for anybody else you guys who play Fallout 3, but the vaults, like some of those vaults were just creepy, like super creepy.
The school right outside the vault you come out of.
See, that was nothing compared to I'm trying to remember which vault it was. One of the vaults is just super fucking creepy. Was it the one where you're hallucinating?
Yeah, that one was in the Northeast, I think. Oh, I kind of got the hankering to play that again.
I get the hankering to actually finally sit down and play Vegas. I'm getting close.
If it weren't for the bugs, I would play that.
Don't like the bugs, huh?
And the difficulty curve. Like the minute you wake up and you start playing that game, it's like I can't do anything.
Well, it's called just stay on the road and go to Vegas because they don't really want you to explore yet. Because man, those red scorpions will fuck you up.
All right, anyone else have any stories they want to share for Danner's question?
It didn't really scare the crap out of me, but okay, we've all played the latest edition of Borderlands 2, right? The first time I ran into a mimic scared the crap out of me.
Oh, the chests. Okay.
Yes. There's basically a chest. It's a monster that looks like a chest. And when you click on the chest to open it like you would loot any other chest, it shakes just like the chest does and then just opens to teeth.
Yeah, it looks like a Ghostbusters toy.
Yeah. And the reason it scared me is because the game waits till you get to a certain point before it starts randomly throwing those in. But there's one definite one that always is. And it's right there for you. And the reason it scared me is because the people I was playing with set me up. So I ran up to it. No, it wasn't you. It was Dev Navat and Dark Inertia. Those fucking assholes. So I literally threw my head back so hard, like in real life, that my headset fell off, and I almost hit back in I almost flipped my chair over, and it wasn't scary because those things are scary or they're hard to kill. I mean, like I one-shotted it right in the face and it died. It just scared me because I was not expecting it at all. I'm expecting, like, oh, what's in this chest? Oh my god! Yeah, definitely. But like I said, that was the only scary moment I've ever had that entire game. The really, really scary moment. But yeah, I almost hurt myself physically because of it. So
you know what it is? Because that chest got me too. Okay, I think it's the way I feel about this stuff.
That one's set up to scare you.
Right, but I didn't see that. Like when I played through, they had already triggered that one, so I actually ended up triggering one on my own when I was looking around while I was playing with everybody, and I didn't know what it was. But that startled me and scared me. But I was like, whatever, I'll keep playing. Not a big deal. Like that is what drives me crazy about these games and makes me not want to play them is the TK Baja stuff from like the first game. Like that sense of dread, like stretched out, for 20 hours is a lot different than, a shocking moment here or a shocking moment there. But when you do both, when you have like 20 hours of dread and shocking moments, it's like, I don't want to be on pins and needles and, explode every single, 5 minutes at a time. So, but yeah, I think Borderlands is a good example for me to explain, what it is that I am okay with and what it is that I don't, what I don't really care for. But I don't hold that against. There isn't a game out there where I hold the atmosphere against it. I actually credit the game for having an atmosphere that's that good.
Even if I can't play it.
Yep. So, all right. Well, we will take a spot and we'll come back on the other side with another question.
50 years ago, a little old man brought his little blue box to a junkyard, and now Doctor Who is a cultural phenomena worldwide. Join the Geekcast Radio Network and Mark Who 42's Whoniverse as we review Doctor Who episodes past and present, discuss the Doctor's friends and enemies, see where the Doctor's been, where he is, and where he's going. Sit back and grab a jelly baby and join Mark Who 42's Whoniverse. It's the ride of this and every other lifetime.
Fantastic.
Allons-y.
And we're back on the other side of that advertisement. And we have Sean Z. Brown here with the question for this segment.
Yeah, what was my question is, it's not necessarily scary or not necessarily in the game, but what was the most shocking moment you ever had while playing a video game?
I'm just going to go ahead and go first here. Mine is spoilers, and you've had almost 20 years now to play this game, is when Chrono dies in Chrono Trigger. That is,
I was just going to play it.
That is probably the most shocking moment in a game. When that happened, I literally got to the next save point and stopped playing it for like a week. I was so mad and like broken. I mean, he's a voiceless character, but I was like, how can you have Chrono Trigger without Chrono? What is this?
The next game is just Trigger.
And and the one thing that got me to play it again was I flipped the game box over because, yes, like a little schoolgirl who's, just been dumped, I would literally, like, instead of playing any other games, I'd sit on my bed and like stare at the box and ponder, why did he die?
He's writing in his notebook, M plus CT forever.
And finally, I'm looking at the game box like a week later, and I flip it over, and there's Chrono fighting a boss that I've not seen. And I was like, wait a minute, how can that possibly be? So I turned the game back on, and I started playing it again. And obviously, you do, in fact, well, you have a choice. You don't have to get him back, but you do get him. You can get him back. And I was like,
wait, let me guess. Which one did you do?
I got him back.
Of course, oh, shocking.
How do you not get him back? Doesn't the game send you on that quest?
I don't know if it actually. I don't know if it sends you on. I think you can finish the game. I know you can finish the game without him, but I think that's one of the different endings. Because I think you can just straight up replace him with Magus, but you can also get him in your party as well.
Did I tell you I'm never going to finish that game now?
I'm sorry.
I know.
Not that you've ruined it for him.
No. I got to the final boss, but I refused to fight every boss I've fought for the whole game, and then him
You don't
again.
have to.
That's where I'm at.
I have never. I think if there's a whole bunch of different ways to fight the end guy. You can beat the end if you have high enough level characters. You can beat the guy in like 5 minutes. Like
I have wherever I'm at, I have to fight every boss that I've fought in the game. I mean, it's what is it? It's Lavos, but he takes on the form of whatever of all of the bosses. And the first 3/4 of them are you're one-shotting him, but it took me like 20 minutes at least before I got to the point where I think I'm actually fighting him. I haven't even gone inside him yet. And that's it. I can't get through that again.
Okay, I guess but the thing is, you only have to do that once, and if you do it like at the end or at the very like 65 million BC, you never have to do it again. No matter when you go to fight him. And I think it might change depending on when you fight him, how many bosses you actually have to fight. But that's not the last guy. The Lavos is the last version of Lavos is actually like 3 things that you're supposed to attack, and really you're only supposed to attack one of them. Then it's the right enemy. That's where all the hit points are. And if you don't kill it fast enough, it starts regenerating the rest of it. But whatever. But yeah, I was just completely blown away. I think that is honestly my most shocking moment, and I think that's one of the reasons why Chrono Trigger rates so highly for me as a game. I mean, it's if anyone comes up to me and says, "What's your favorite video game?" the first game I say is Chrono Trigger. So who's got one most shocking moment?
I was gonna say for me, mine's short and quick and to the point, and it's not even in one of my top 10 games. But I just remember the emotional reaction it evoked, and that would be when Aeris dies in Final Fantasy VII.
It did nothing for me.
I was gonna call you. As soon as he asked that question, I said, "If anybody says when this dude dies in Final Fantasy VII, I'm gonna call you a little girl."
That's fine. You can because I cried. I even shed a tear. I thought, and the worst part is about that game is the fact that you keep finding her weapons throughout the game. So there's that hope that it's like, oh, she's got to come back. She's got to come back. She never comes back.
Wait, what was this again? What was this game?
Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. For a second, I heard the number, and I was like, wait. Sounds like he's talking about 7.
That did nothing for me.
You heartless bastard.
Like that happened, and she drops like the holy materia, and I'm like, okay, what do I do with this? What the hell is this for? What? And then when it's really what she drops really isn't for anything that I even cared about, I was like, well, whatever, fuck you, I'm done. I mean, I continued playing and I got to the end of the game, but I never once I was like, whatever, who cares? Like,
you probably didn't do all the dating stuff with her and Cloud and.
I did whatever the game put in front of me.
Yeah, I think I was just more emotionally involved with what was going on with everybody, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to be the person that runs out saying that Final Fantasy VII is the greatest game of all time. It's not even my favorite Final Fantasy, but I think for me, that was just to have a person that they promote as such a major character and to kill her so early on in the game. And I was into the story and didn't expect it to happen.
Okay. Joe?
I'm trying to think shocking, and nothing is coming to mind, but I know I've had I know there's a great story in there somewhere.
Not even the reveal of Sam as Aaron?
Nope. Because I wasn't a sexist bigot. It didn't bother me.
I love how he says wasn't, but
I am now though. I had
Creeper
friends
Joe.
who were. I had friends who were at the time, but that was didn't bother me. I'm trying. Gosh,
Well,
the ending to Shadow of the Colossus affected me, but I wouldn't say it shocked me. Come back to me.
Okay, Shanzi?
My most shocking moment had absolutely nothing to do with the video game I was playing, actually. I happened to be playing a video game. I can't even remember which one it was. And in the video game, it was storming and thunder and lightning and craziness. And just as it started, lightning hit the building next to me in real life. And I've never been... It didn't scare me, but I've never been more freaked out in a singular instance.
He's never played video games in a storm again.
No, I play them in storms all the time, but I've never. I was like literally like at that moment, I'm like, oh my god! Like I was like, because it was, the roof of the neighbors was eye level with my window, and it was about maybe 5.5 feet away because our buildings were very close, so the lightning was right there.
Like right
So
there.
it was like you could smell like the tar off the roof was burning or had burned where it hit, and you could like that weird. You could feel the static in the air. I was like, God, Jesus.
I have a not video game related, but I have a similar experience. Like I was watching X-Files when it first came on, and there's one episode in the first season where there's a guy, he's like a pyromaniac, and I remember watching it on a Friday night with my friend, and guys going crazy setting everything on fire, and then we were watching the family room and we started smelling smoke.
Like, holy
we're
shit, this game
freaking
is
out.
realistic.
Well, we were freaking out. We turned around and we looked into the kitchen, and my parents had put the stove on clean. But apparently the stove really needed to be cleaned because it was billowing smoke. And we're just like, oh my god, this guy was catching stuff on fire, and there was might have been a fire in the kitchen. We're just like, whoa, crazy. So yeah, I can understand how something in your environment coinciding with what's happening in a media can
It pushed me over the edge.
Yeah.
Whereas I could take one, I could take the other, both at the same time. Yeah.
All right, Joe.
I've got nothing. This is depressing. I'm looking at my video games behind me.
Come on, just talk about your excitement when you first played your Virtual Boy.
How about when you first saved the princess?
She was in another castle. Would you believe it? That just blew my mind.
I'm sorry. That bitch can save herself. From now on, okay, you get 2, maybe 3 saves. After the 4th one, whatever. Do what you gotta do, bad guy.
Your little mushroom-headed bodyguards are worthless, princess.
Yeah, maybe you need to start hiring some of these turtle-shelled motherfuckers.
All right. Well, Joe, if you think of something, you can just butt in. But
I will.
We can rope my question in with Shanzi's segment. I put out on Twitter, I wanted to know what people's most frustrating controller throwing moments in video games were. And I actually got some feedback. Actually, I got 2. One came from Ryan Cox 20, who submitted the 2 questions last week. He said losing on a last-second touchdown in Madden 99. Which,
those are pretty horrible.
At that point, I think that anything 2000 or earlier, I think the game just always cheated if it was an EA game. And then another one came from Mike over at Geekcast Radio. He said, I've thrown, smashed, bashed, destroyed controllers because of Golden Rogue Agent and sometimes Crash Bandicoot.
GoldenEye Rogue Agent.
Okay, because he just said Golden Rogue Agent. So, I have not played either one of those. But I can see how they would be frustrating, especially Crash Bandicoot as a platformer. But my question to you guys is, what's the most frustrated you think you've ever been with a game, or the thing have you ever thrown a controller and what made you do it?
I'll go ahead and go first. I can only distinctly remember throwing a controller once in. I've definitely gotten frustrated more than once, but to the point of actually throwing a controller was on PS3. I was playing. It must have been Assassin's Creed Revelations, and it was during a stupid chase. Because I don't know what it is about those chase sequences where you have to chase a guy down. That thought of, I clipped a box and my guy doesn't know how to jump over it. Oh, and I think I had done it for like an hour and a half, the same thing, over and over and over and over, and I couldn't do it. So I just went, fuck it, whip my controller right into the wall, put a dent in the wall. The little lights on the back of the PlayStation 3 controllers that let you know if you're first, second, third, or fourth controller, that light didn't work anymore. There was a slight, like, you could hear plastic pieces rolling around on my controller. The rumble only worked on one side after that. Just solid connection. Boom. But besides that, probably the most frustrated besides, the fact of actually throwing the controller, probably any racing game that I was ever playing. Especially like Mario Kart. Because that feeling of you're at the finish line, it's right there, and then the guy hits you with 3 green shells or whatever. He hits you perfectly, and then gets just enough in front of you, or he puts you into a wall and everyone passes you, and so instead of getting in first, you're in last, and you're just like, God, I don't want to redo this whole stupid thing again. And then at that moment, you decide that this game is dumb.
I can see that, especially racing games.
Yeah. I mean, they have such a short shelf life with me anyways, but usually that's what determines when I stop playing it. When I get to a race that I can't beat after 2 or 3 times. I'm like, racing games are stupid. I'm going to go shoot something like a grown-up.
Joe, you got anyone? You got a frustrating moment?
When you mentioned Assassin's Creed Revelations, that is one of the top 3 most angry times I've ever had in a video game, and it's completely the fault of the designers deciding that after 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 other games that they needed to change the controls and put the buttons in a different spot, and it resulted in me getting in a chase. It's always when you're in a chase. It's never when something must happen when that chase sequence starts, but you're running, you climb a building, you get to the top, and then just all of a sudden he'll take the running leap off at a 90-degree angle and die. And I was red-faced, frothing at the mouth. My wife was not concerned. What's the word? She was kind of like, Joe, you need to put this down now and take a break because this is ridiculous. And yeah, that was one of my biggest moments. And I think other times, less major, have just been anytime there's and I don't know why I'm particularly sensitive to it, but when menus are built in a way where, the B button is cancel, the A button is advance, until you get into this little sub menu, then the X button is advance and the A button is cancel. When things like that happen, it's like, why the heck? Because I end up like trying to switch weapons in a menu and end up not doing it and going back and dying because I don't have the right thing in the inventory. La 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 la. Those are controller throwing moments. Never thrown a controller except for that one time with Resident Evil 2, but that didn't count. I wasn't angry. I was scared.
So you threw it in while being scared, not necessarily.
Well, it felt like it was a bug in my hand because it vibrated.
So what? I could so see you screaming like a girl.
I do,
and it kind of turns me on. Just like.
All right, Danner.
Well, the only times in particular I can think of that I had controller throwing moments all involve fighting games on the Super Nintendo or fighting games on the PlayStation. Mostly when somebody chooses a character and they just keep hitting you in the corner. Those were a lot of my frustrating moments. The one in particular moment I should say the last time I think I've thrown a controller is a wave bird.
Yeah, the wireless controllers made it so easy to throw them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about ripping the console off the shelf when you throw it.
We were playing Soul Calibur 2, and my buddy had never played the game before, and started playing as Cervantes. And I was playing as Link. I'd been practicing with Link. I was getting pretty good with Link. I was getting pretty good at Keelik also. So those were my two go-tos. And he'd never played the game before and came in with Cervantes and just destroyed me. Destroyed me while I was playing as Link. Destroyed me as I was playing with Keelik. I tried like 5 guys and just he killed me every single time. Anybody who was over, he killed repeatedly. And I just got to the point where I was like, never played this game before and he's just hit buttons and I was just like, I just got pissed.
Was like, scared the crap out of him.
I wouldn't say I like whipped it across the room. I'm more of a toss the controller to the side type of a guy. I've never been I've never ultimately they're games. I remember in middle school getting pissed at somebody for something that we were doing in a game to the point where I remember choking them. But besides that, I don't remember whipping controllers. Needless to say, I never got invited over again for another sleepover. I don't know why.
Well, that was what we did before we had wireless controllers. We used the cords to choke our opponents.
Well,
I never did that.
I used my bare hands. There was a complete difference there. I was always angry at the other player. I was never directly angry at the video game. I've never gotten to a point where I've been so mad. I'm getting frustrated, don't get me wrong. I was getting pissed off last night when I was playing Deadpool because the entire end of that game is just one arena battle. And I'm not a fan of arena battles, but at least there was whimsy. So it got me through it.
All right. Well, one. Sorry.
I was gonna say I like him talking about that or the fighting games reminded me of. It wasn't really. I wasn't technically throwing a controller, but I was once playing an old Mortal Kombat arcade cabinet with this kid, and he was Raiden, and he had memorized how to shoot the lightning, so he could shoot it so damn fast.
And then he threw the arcade machine at him.
No, I snapped the joystick off. I hit it so hard trying to jump that it just busted right off. And then I threw the little round ball at him.
Nice.
Not really. Yeah, they weren't really thrilled when that happened. That and probably playing Smash Bros. On the 64 way back in the day. The moment where you get knocked off the screen and you get like the perfect jumps just enough to get back, and then they're just waiting for you and smack even farther. And that doesn't turn into throwing the controller, but you turn around and just punch them in the arm as hard as you can. Because they're being dicks. Like there's a couple other guys you could be attacking, but you're just waiting for me.
See, I guess my stuff just goes back to the, we talked about on the episode with our gaming habits. I didn't do a lot of multiplayer or like couch co-op things when I was a kid. I played a lot of single player games, and it was like 96, 97, 98, and it was one of two games. It was either Mischief Makers on the Nintendo 64 or it was Star Fox 64. I can't quite put my finger on which one it was, but I remember whipping the N64 controller across my bedroom, boomerang style, and almost getting it stuck in the drywall.
Awesome.
And honestly, if I think about it, I think it was Mischief Makers because a lot of games on the N64 made use of the analog stick. You never used the D-pad on a lot of the games. But for some reason, Mischief Makers decided to, you're going to play this game with the D-pad. So it played, you use the controller unlike you use the controller for every other N64 game. And it just, for some reason, not that far removed from actually having to use the D-pad exclusively to play games, for some reason it just felt so awkward, and the game was not that responsive, and I just like chucked it. I was mad. But again, just playing by myself, I have no other outlet. I can't punch the guy sitting next to me. I can't, strangle a guy. I do remember, not in frustration, but my another N64 game, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, which is actually a really good arcade hockey game. My cousin and I, when we'd play against each other, when the players would come together and they would actually get into a fight, my cousin and I would throw the controllers down in front of us and then beat the crap out of each other in the family room. And then pick the controller back up and proceed to fight it out. And of course, famously, as mentioned on this podcast,
this is great.
Last November, I whipped my 360 controller across my family room in frustration at Need for Speed Most Wanted, and my wife, who was playing something in her gaming room, said, "Okay, I think you're done."
You need to stop.
Because I'm sitting out there on the couch playing my game, and I'm like, "This is so dumb. What is going on? Why is this happening?" And then I was about ready to come in first place, and the AI car came up alongside me, immediately did a 90-degree turn and T-boned my car, which had the outstanding effect of putting me in dead last, because as soon as he T-boned me and pushed me into an I-beam that was a support part of a bridge, he immediately did another 90-degree turn and proceeded to come in first across the finish line.
See, he says a story, but in my head, I see a car pulling beside him, barely nudging him going into a wall.
No, I was mad, and I was just like, this is, because it was like my 5th time doing the race, and every time I had been like screwed out of it, like just at the end. And this time I was like, I had it in the bag, and all of a sudden, like, it's the rubber banding that goes on in racing games these days, and the car just came up right beside me, turned at 90 degrees and pushed me off the road, and I was like, that is the dumbest thing I've seen in a racing game, and I just chucked the controller, and you get the little boop, controller has been disconnected, because the battery pops out of it, and I'm like, good, I'm glad the controller's been disconnected, because I'm done with this. But other than those like 2 instances, I can't really remember getting, I get frustrated with games. I remember being frustrated at the end of Uncharted 2. Because, the first Uncharted, the end boss was like a cakewalk, and so they actually had an end boss at the end of Uncharted 2, and I kind of barrel rolled into the end of Uncharted. I've been playing for like 6 hours straight, barrel rolled into the end, and then I spent like another 3 hours trying to beat the final boss and dying over and over and over again. And finally, my wife got, she's my wife now. She was my girlfriend at the time. She got out of work and she's like, "Hey, do you want to go get something to eat?" And I was like, "Yeah, fine." So that made me stop playing the game. And, when I woke up, 8 hours later after going right to sleep after I got done with dinner, woke up 8 hours later, turned on the game, beat the guy first try. It's just like, for me, sometimes it's like I got to get up and walk away. And then it's like ends up being like really easy. So, but all right, Joe, do you either have a most shocking moment or do you have a question?
God,
or do we
most
just
shocking moment.
Or do we just want to like wrap it up?
We can wrap it up. I'll come up with a question next time.
Okay.
Joe, so disappointing.
I know.
All right. If you want to get in touch with us, you can comment on our parent site at geekcastradio.com or send emails to us at feedback@geekcastradio.com. You can find myself, Michael Powers, on Twitter, Xbox Live, and PlayStation Network at BoothNinja81. Danner?
You can find me at Art Danner on Twitter, or you can find me at X51 the Machine Man on PlayStation Network.
Shawnzy?
I've been Shawnzy Brown. You can find me on Twitter at Shawnzy Brown. Or you can find me on Xbox Live at Weapon87. I don't know. That's it, I guess.
Joe?
And you can find me at Facebook looking for.
As always, he's been Joe, by the way.
I've been Joe. I've been Joe the whole show, which is miraculous. It's a wonderful achievement. But you can find me on Facebook looking for the Geek Stuff Garage Sale.
All right. And as always, I have no way of closing this show out, so we'll record another one for you guys next week.
Woo! That was thrilling. Leave.
You ready?
I'm good now.
Sure.
No, wait.
He's so funny, this guy.
How about
Almost
I just
there,
sit here and
almost
you...
there.
I'll just sit here. You tell me when you're ready.
Okay, go. Wait.
Okay.
Okay, go.
Or please tell me you're recording.
Oh, I'm recording.
Okay, awesome.
Are we supposed to be recording on our end?
No, because Sean's computer
I
doesn't
can't.
work. However,
So
however,
if we all record our own files, at least the important pieces will be there.
however, I did find out that both Joe and Sean can both record in QuickTime for audio capture. I just have to get them the stuff. It's really
Oh,
easy.
this computer won't run anything. Don't wait till I get a new one.
I was like, you may have to get me a new computer in order for that to work.
I'm sure we can go down to Salvation Army and find one that's a little bit better than yours.
The other thing I want to try possibly in the future is running the video conference at the same time, so we can see each other and make faces.
I don't want to look at Sean.
Okay, well,
I am fucking sexy.
Sean probably doesn't have a camera. does
He's
he?
gonna
I'll
be
get a camera too.
They're
They're
my-
cheap.
he's gonna
I-
be distracting.
I do in fact have a camera.